Welcome to the Yoga Teacher Circle podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Ray, yoga teacher. You are needed now more than ever, and your unique voice, message, and offering needs to be shared with the world. In this podcast, we'll talk about all things related to teaching yoga to help you thrive doing what you love most, teaching yoga. So let's dive in. Bex, what is up? It's so good to have you here.
Good afternoon. I'm excited to be here.
So, oh my gosh. Okay. I was thinking about it, and I don't think we know the exact amount of time we've known each other, but I want to say it's like 5 or 6 years now. Do you think that's right?
Yeah. So I moved here 6.5 years ago, and I started working at the Madison where we met 6 months after I moved here. So I would say somewhere about 6 years, 5.5, 6 years ago.
Okay.
Because we met there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I remember you were working the desk and I met you there.
And I was teaching there before I worked the desk.
Okay, got
Yes.
it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I just didn't really have much to do because I had just moved here and I was trying to fill all my time.
Yeah,
So I worked there.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, I remember. And we didn't really connect much more beyond like, hey, nice to see you. And that was it. And it wasn't until recent that we reconnected and super hit it off. And now we're like, we love each other. And I can't imagine my life without you.
I know. I'm like, I can't believe we haven't like hung out and been close friends all this time.
All this time, right? So no, it's perfect. I have loved watching your journey from that point to now, and really just watching how, thank you. And really just watching how much you've done in the 5-ish years that I've known you. Yeah, you do a lot of amazing work in the world. So, okay, you've got a few things going on. You help lead 200-hour yoga teacher trainings, virtual yoga classes, workshops, public yoga classes,
right,
retreats, like all the good things that
private lessons, yoga therapy. It's fun. All the things, right?
Yeah. Perfect. So, and then within that, what I love so much about what your purpose is really helping people connect to self-love and healing from trauma and finding their own strength and inner peace using yoga and mindfulness. Yeah, I want to kick it off with you just sharing more about your story and like really what led you to become a yoga teacher, how long you've been teaching, and how it guided you to where you're at today.
Okay, awesome. So I took my first yoga class when I was probably 19 years old at a gym in downtown Chicago with some friends. I remember my friend said, "Do you want to go to a yoga class?" And I thought we were just going to do some light stretching. So I was all about it. And it was way more challenging than I thought. I was in the back of the room. I really couldn't follow along. I didn't understand what was going on. And I kind of never went back. And I was just kind of in a part of my life. About 10 years later, we'll fast forward. So I was about 19 then and about 28 years old. So almost 10 years. I was just kind of in a really rough part of my life. I was struggling with life for sure. Okay. And at one point, yoga just became an overwhelming thought in my mind. So I don't like to say that I found yoga. I like to say that yoga found me because all of a sudden I just could not stop thinking about it. And I really so badly wanted to go to a yoga class, but I was terrified to go by myself as I had been my entire life. I've been very afraid to do anything for the first time alone. So I recruited a friend, her name was Lindsay, to come with me to a yoga studio. And my sister's best friend actually owned the studio and still to this day owns the studio. And I remember just loving it. And the best memory I have about it is Warrior 3. And I looked around the room and everybody was balancing like a T perfectly. And I could barely lift my back foot off the mat. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm terrible at this. But I continued to come back. And all of a sudden it gave me something to look forward to every day. And I felt like I was building purpose. So about 30 days in, my friend doesn't want to go anymore. The studio's too far. And so I find a studio closer to home. And she said, okay, anything as long as it's not hot yoga. Well, the website was hotyogis.com. And I just thought they were hot. So I didn't realize it was
love that.
I didn't realize it was a hot yoga class. So we get there, and then on top of it, it was like this most advanced class. She almost didn't go. She was going to turn around. We ended up going, and then we went back to a more beginner class. Like 2 weeks into it, she doesn't want to go to yoga anymore. So I can't go without anybody. So I recruited another friend, my friend Amber, and she continued to come with me for about 2 more months. And we went every single day, and we were bartenders together. And we would just go every day, Monday through Friday at noon. And it took me 3 months before I would go to a class by myself. I called a friend because Amber couldn't go one day. So I called another friend to recruit her to go with me. And she goes, you know what? You've been going there for 3 months. I'm sure you're fine going by yourself. And I was like, I remember I drove to the parking lot and I was so scared. I almost had a panic attack. I was terrified to go in alone. And I did. And I continued to go.
I want to pause there for a second because I think that is so relatable for so many people.
It makes me emotional, actually.
Yeah, no, it's so real. It's a very real experience. We hear it from yoga students. You've experienced it, new students, right? What was it for you that was scary about showing up alone?
You know, it's making me a little bit emotional because it's held me back from doing a lot of things previously. And so it's just the fear of being seen, I think, like going in there, being vulnerable, being seen, standing out. So
yeah, absolutely.
And it is something that a lot of people tell me they don't want to come to yoga for just that. I'm terrible. You're going to make fun of me. I'm not good enough. I'm not flexible. I'm like, oh my God, if you would only know how long it took me to just drive to the parking lot by myself. And here I am 11 years later, teaching people how to teach yoga. You know, it's just crazy what yoga has given to me. And so I was just terrified to go in, I didn't like a lot of people, you know, there was a big room full of people I didn't know, but I continued to go and I loved it. And so one day they were expanding. It was opened by this woman, Shonda, who is a dear friend to me to this day. She's like my big sister. And at the time, her boyfriend, Corey, and they opened the studio and they pulled this woman from Arizona, Joy. And they were all Bikram teachers and they were about to open a Bikram studio. And last minute, they pulled the Bikram name and made it Hat Vinyasa. So now their studio is blowing up. It's the biggest studio in the suburbs of Chicago. There's nothing else. People drive 40, 45 minutes. And they're expanding. So they need teachers. And I have not taken a training, but I know I want to teach yoga. And I've been practicing there for maybe 8 months. And the owner comes up to me and Amber, he's like, what do you guys want to do? And she wanted to be a massage therapist. And I said, I want to be a yoga teacher. And he's like, come apprentice with me. And I was too scared. So I didn't go. He came up to me again a couple weeks later. He said, come apprentice with me. And I still didn't go. And then he came up to me a third time and I talked to Amber. Amber's like, what the F are you doing? Go. And I remember I went and I was so scared and I just shadowed him. And then I continued to shadow him and I would just show up at his classes, walk around. Back then we were doing adjustments. I would do adjustments with him. And then I started looking for a teacher training because that studio didn't offer one. So I was already assisting and adjusting with Corey. And so I found a teacher training program in Chicago that was 9 months long. It was awesome.
That's so cool.
A really incredible experience. And then Corey and I was teaching there full time by the time I graduated my program. About a year into it, Corey left the business and Shonda doesn't teach yoga. So I kind of took over Corey's role in the studio for the last, I want to say 2 years. I was there for about 3.5 years. And then I just kind of felt stagnant. Like I wasn't learning. I wasn't growing. It was cold. I didn't really love Chicago. And Amber had moved to Arizona 3 years prior. So I came out here to visit her in February and I was like, that's it. I'm moving there. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just saved up as much money as I could. And 2 months before I was going to move, I told the owner of the studio. And I packed up what I could in a shipping container and my car. And I just drove out here. I stayed with Amber and her boyfriend for 6 weeks. And I got an apartment and figured it out. And here I am 6.5 years later.
And would you say that the 6 years that you've been here is really where you've grown as a yoga teacher?
Oh yeah. So I kind of had it made back there, right? It was like, I was a student in the studio. I already knew everybody. They were giving me all these classes. The studio was really growing and it just kind of was like gravy, right? It just kept
it was like easy awesome. And just kept falling into your lap and
Totally. And then when I moved out here, it was like, I had to start fresh. Like I could not ask for the pay rate that I was getting in Chicago. Like nobody cared what I had built there. And so it was a really humbling experience. I never taught a class that had less than 30 people before I moved here. And so when I never had taught a set sequence, and so it was very humbling because I thought every yoga class had 30 students, 30 to 75 students. Like I didn't know that there was such a small yoga community because Chicago is so big and spread out. So it was really interesting that I'm now making a living teaching in all these little spaces and really I have to build my name because absolutely nobody knows me. There's not a single person who knew who I was. It was a really challenging. It took me about 1.5 years to get into the yoga community the way that I wanted to at the time and get all the studios that I wanted. When I arrived here, I wrote in a piece of paper and I still have it in my wish box. I want to teach at these 3 studios. And they were the 3 studios I started teaching at.
Nice. I'm all about that. Yeah. Manifesting or putting it out into the universe. Law of attraction. That's so powerful.
So this May will be 10 years that I've been teaching yoga.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's amazing.
10 years. It's been a while, but it's still not a lot of time. It's still like not a lot, but a long time.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay. I love how within your story, there's two things I want to talk about next. And that is what's important to you is the practice of self-love. And I know you're so passionate about sharing this with your students, your clients, your community. So let's just start with what does self-love mean to you?
Self-acceptance, right? It's like holding true to yourself, accepting yourself for who you are. No judgments, no egos, just really honoring this is me. Yeah. This is who I am, not being afraid to show the world who you are.
Yeah.
Being okay with your flaws, learning from them, remembering you're not perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
Respecting yourself. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, this is such a big topic in conversation because it's really just such a practice too, right? It's not like we wake up one day and we're like, oh, I totally just love myself.
Right.
It's a daily checking in. What kind of tools and practices do you use? How do you show up and share yourself and just say this is me, this is what I've gone through, this is who I am?
I try to be really vulnerable with people, and people will come to me with their stories, maybe complaining about something that's going on in the relationship that they're not really loving about their partner. And maybe I've experienced that and I can be like, you know what? I can relate to what your partner is going through. And I have been that person before. I don't know. I think I show up as who I am in every relationship that I have. And I think that that's super important. I never try to put on a facade or act like I'm somebody that I'm not. And I'm okay if people don't like me. I've also learned over time how to set my own boundaries. And this is something I started maybe learning around 38, but really not applying my boundaries and standing by them until maybe the past 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And that is a huge practice of self-love and showing up for yourself. And even just learning what those are is a really big deal.
Oh yeah. It's a constant shift, constant change and adapting and letting yourself really move with that change too. I love what you're saying about, and if people don't like me, it's okay. And I'm just going to show up and be myself. And there's two things that come up for me right now. One is last week's episode actually was about you deserve to take up space. And that is literally show up as your true self. If the people around you don't vibe and align with who you're being, then bye. It's okay.
Exactly. No, somebody said to me the other day, you're a really strong personality. And I'm sure it takes some getting used to if you're not used to you. And 2 years ago, that would have bothered me, but I'm like, you know what? I am strong. I am confident. And I've worked really hard to be humbly confident. I'm not meek. I'm not quiet. I've learned how to be kind and direct. And I'm proud of that. Yeah. So if I'm a little bit too much for people, I'm totally cool with it. I've worked really hard to be this much.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just want to be fuck yes. Because...
Oh, good. We can swear.
Oh yeah. You can swear. It's all good. We just got yoga teachers listening. We're all about it, But again, that's exactly, again, what I was talking about is don't ever dim who you are and make yourself smaller. Be too much.
For anybody. Yeah. Let them see you. Yes, be too much. The right people are going to find you, and the people don't like you can move along and find people that they do connect a little bit better to. It doesn't 100%. Matter.
Yeah. And
as long as you like yourself, right? You're the one who has to hang out with you the most.
That's so true. Yeah. I love it. Okay, I want to dive into when we recently reconnected. This is part of our conversation. We were hanging out at coffee and talking. And this is where, I brought up to you, I recently realized, no, I'm for sure about my sexuality. I'm for sure bisexual. And you are out as lesbian fully and for the last 6
years?
5 years.
5 years. Maybe 5 years. So it's probably a year after I moved here to Friends, but to my family, maybe a little while after that.
Got it.
So probably I would say about 5.5 years.
That's amazing. And I just remember you being an inspiration to me because I felt wow, I really do want to share this side of myself because it is who I am. And I'm afraid in a way to come out to my community, to my students.
Oh my God. That was one of my biggest fears. I feel that right here.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that for a minute because
for sure.
We've had such good conversation around this. So for you, what was it that was scary to come out? And, you still did it. You still showed up. And then what was the response from your community?
There was so much fear around everything. So, I didn't really understand my sexuality, and because I thought maybe I was like bi, because I had been in love with a girl when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
But I never really explored that side of it. So when I moved here, it kind of took me away from what everybody expected of me, if that makes sense. Like I didn't have any friends here. I didn't have any family here. I had my friend Amber, but our friendship was kind of rocky because we were both going through a lot. And so we couldn't show up for each other in the way that we needed the other one to. So we kind of drifted apart when I moved here, and I was alone, which gave me a lot of time to explore me. And when I was able to do that, I was able to be like, okay, wait a minute. I know fully for sure that I am a gay woman. I do not want to be with a man. I've had this connection before with a woman, and I was craving that when I moved here. And so when I met my first girlfriend, I was like, oh my God, I feel more fulfilled. Like I understand how this feels.
Yeah.
And so I slowly started telling friends. I was terrified to tell anybody in Chicago, anybody back home. And I was especially terrified for anybody to find out in the yoga community, because I didn't want them to think, well, first of all, I don't think there's really a lot of gay yoga teachers in our community, women.
Yeah. That are at least out and very open about it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I was just worried, like, oh my God, what if they don't want adjustments from me? What if they don't want to come to my class? Or if they thought I've been hitting on them, which is so not the case. And I kind of felt like that with friends also. So I slowly started telling friends that I had made in Phoenix, and everybody was so loving and accepting. And then I told my younger brother first, and then my sister, and then my mom, and then my older brother, and everybody was extremely loving and accepting. And I definitely think I had a lot easier of a time because I was older, and nobody's opinion matters to me at that point anyway. And so I don't know. I'm not sure if that, and plus I come from a very, very, very open family. So everybody was like, I don't know why you didn't say anything a long time ago. But it was also my communication. I kept everything inside. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't know how to express who I was or what I wanted or anything.
Yeah. And that's something that we have to really learn how to do. We really do.
And then as soon as I decided to be public about it and be open, I wasn't going to keep myself small about it anymore. So I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I've been hiding this for so long. I'm going to post about it. I'm going to be like this. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And, it's so.
And what was that like for you? Like, how did that feel? And what
at first it felt really uncomfortable, especially when I talked to friends back home. And some of them had some questions for me. Like I went, and my cousin had a 40th birthday, and we all met when we were 18. And so I went and was hanging out with all my old guy friends, and they were like, so no more guys? And they were just like really, really cool about it. And so people have had some questions, and it was uncomfortable for me in the beginning, but now it's totally fine.
I love that. Yeah, no, and I went through
no discomfort.
Totally. Yeah. And I went through such a similar process. Like I was just ready to kind of like rip the Band-Aid, and because my community really saw me only with a man for the last 5 years in a relationship. And then when I got out of that and realized like, no, I want to be open and with a woman next, to like, I don't want to hide this side. And it was really scary. And then I just kind of sat with it and was like, why am I afraid to express this side of myself? This is really who I am. And I was not afraid from friends and family. I was afraid for my business standpoint.
I get it. I totally get it.
But the crazy part is the community I'm a part of, like, it's so incredible. And it was like, oh my God,
so accepting and loving. I swear my classes got busier.
Yes, yeah, totally.
But I think it's because I gave people the feeling that they can be who they are also.
Yeah.
And that is another thing. I'm going to take it back to yoga for a second with that. Even with being, a gay woman, I show up who I am wherever. And when I'm teaching a yoga class, this person that's talking to you right now is exactly who shows up.
Yeah.
I don't go in there acting like somebody that I'm not. And I'm not ever going to do that ever again for anybody. And I think that's like another huge part of why I teach yoga, is to allow people to feel authentic and loved, and that whoever they are, they're good enough, perfectly as they are.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. This is so good. And this, again, just all ties back to the practice of self-love, owning who you are, showing up fully.
If you aren't already a member, I'd love for you to join me in the free private Facebook group for yoga teachers. Just simply search Yoga Teacher Circle on Facebook. Most of these episodes are recorded live in the Facebook group, where you can ask questions in real time and connect with the Yoga Teacher Circle community. Now, back to the episode.
Okay, so that ties into this next little piece that I want to bring into this that you mentioned about like helping people and also yourself. Everything we just talked about is taking your power back. Those words right there are so powerful. Taking your power back. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Like,
what does that mean, right?
Yep.
I think it means, for me, it means choosing yourself in the most authentic way. When something's not healthy for you mentally, you're peace out. I'm done. This is me. I'm taking control back of my life. Owning your shit, right? If you mess up saying, hey, I fucked up. That's me. I need to work on that. That's taking your power back. You know, so apologizing when you're wrong, choosing yourself in authentic, rare ways. For me, it was leaving my last relationship, and that was taking my power back because I had given every part of my power to this human, trying to help her. And then I decided I am more important and I'm more to take care of myself than it is to take care of her. And so leaving that for me was huge and taking my power back.
Yeah, that's massive. And I know so many people can relate to that, especially in relationships.
Oh my God.
That's where it might show up the most for people.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Relationships, careers, and it doesn't even have to be with a romantic partner, with your family. Like even with my sister, I had to put that relationship on pause because it was draining my power and my energy. And I now have boundaries. And until certain boundaries, I'm not going to let them be crossed anymore, taking my power back in that situation. So I'm not going to be walked all over anymore. Yeah. I can be quite a passive person. So I'm trying to find my balance with that.
Okay.
And that's another way that I'm learning how to take my power back right now, not being so passive.
Yeah, there's so many ways. So what do you notice because talking about like toxic relationships or relationships that are draining, what comes up for you when you're in this experience, like your last relationship or with your sister? What do you notice in yourself that shifts and that one day you're like, wow, this is really not okay. Like I have to get out.
You know, it's so interesting because I don't think you can see it until you are out. And, you know, there was like, I'm pretty energetic person, pretty happy. And over time, my light was totally dimmed out. It was just burnt. My energy was drained. It was dim. I wasn't myself. I was exhausted by like 7:00 at night. I like to go to bed early, but not 7 p.m. All I wanted to do was like sleep, and I was losing weight. And so I noticed it when I got out of the relationship for a little bit. And then I ended up getting back together with my ex, and I literally could see and feel myself slipping back into that. Like I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was like dancing down the street for 2 months, and now I just want to go back to sleep, and I'm tired and I'm not hungry and I'm stressed out and anxious. My heart would palpitate, like race all day long. Like I was drinking way too much coffee.
Wow.
And so, it's a body reaction. Yeah. And I noticed it, and I was like, this is me losing myself again. So it's time to take my power back and just step out of it for good. And that can be extremely hard, you know, when you think about that, like I got to leave for good this time.
Yeah. Like really cut it. So now that you've left for good, what do you notice has shifted within you, and like how you're showing up and your energy?
I feel lighter again, like physically in my body, and I'm getting more creative. I feel like all my creativity, creative ideas and business-wise stuff is shifting back. More positive people are aligning in my life. Hello, Taylor.
Hello.
Old friendships that I really enjoyed are coming back, and I just see better opportunities coming my way. Like things felt very stagnant while I was in that relationship, and now I see all this forward momentum, and it's really cool.
I love that. Yeah,
everything the universe is like, you're on the right path. You're on the right path.
Yeah,
keep going.
Totally. And I was just going to say that you're literally like living in alignment with yourself.
100%.
And because of that, the universe is like, great, here are more things that are in alignment.
Right. Exactly.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. I want to switch gears a bit now into more of the business side of teaching yoga and like the more tangible things of having a yoga business. And so let's just chat a little bit more about your yoga business, your brand, Bex Richards Yoga. First, I want to talk about, because this is so relevant right now for yoga teachers, and you've done a really good job, and you've had to go through some like fear and doubt of shifting during the pandemic from studio classes, public classes, to now you're teaching your own yoga classes online, which is awesome, and you're doing great. And I know that it was hard at first, and I want to just hear a little bit about like your experience with that and what you had to go through and grow through to be doing it.
So that was, it was really tough in the beginning of the pandemic when all the yoga studios started closing down, because that's what I had done full time for almost 10 years, for 9 years at that point. However, before that, before the pandemic happened, I was dying for a shift. My energy, my body couldn't keep up with 15 to 20 yoga classes a week. So I was really looking to shift gears in the yoga community. Of course, I want to teach yoga full time, but I was really struggling with like, how am I going to make yoga my full-time life and not teach this many group classes? And I was extremely stressed out by it. And then one day the universe just took it all away.
Yeah.
Right? So there was
Isn't
nothing.
that funny? Yeah.
So there was nothing anymore.
Yeah.
And, at first I started with the virtual classes and I was in a roommate situation that we were moving. So it was really hard to film and I just didn't really have the energy for it. I was like, you know what? I'm given this downtime right now. I'm given this time to rethink what it is I want, reinvent myself, like slow down. I never allow myself to slow down. So I slowed down for 2 weeks and then I got a job. Of course, I didn't slow down very long, but,
you're like, I'm good.
Yeah. But, I started coming back to the virtual classes because people were reaching out to me for them.
Okay.
And I wasn't really loving the idea. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this in January. And it's going well. However,
what did you not love about the idea?
It just it doesn't feel super authentic to me. After doing it for a couple months, I love it. I enjoy it. I have so much fun. I love seeing their faces. I'm like, I wish I had a better platform. I wish I had more time available. The only thing that's challenging is it's just me, the classes, right? So I don't have a lot of time available and my window of time is getting smaller as the teacher trainings happen.
Yeah. So you're getting busier.
Right. And then I'm going back to the thought, like, I'm struggling with, do I even want to teach group classes anymore?
Yeah.
Or do I just want to focus on my teacher trainings, workshops, retreats, and really trust that I can put all of my energy into that and still make a career out of this? It's very scary, but I'm again in this big shift mode.
Yeah.
So I see it aligning. Like every time I go to get a class, I'm like, I don't know if I want that. I'm not going to take it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so now I'm only teaching 4 classes a week. I'm like,
yeah.
So it's again, just, very,
okay.
I'm doing so many more teacher trainings. And this is exactly what I wanted before the pandemic. I was like, I want to teach way less classes and focus way more on trainings.
Yeah. So you're literally in the same space that I was in like a year and a half ago and like 2 years ago, I'd say. And that's where I was teaching so many classes, burning out, 15 to 22 and just started dwindling. I know it just like, it kills you, it's like, but that's so common for yoga teachers.
Right.
I just remember like building up my trainings and workshops and thinking I need to shift. I want to like let go of all my classes.
Yep.
So you're in that phase of kind of tapering and it's scary. It's super
scary because honestly, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'd still be in that 15 to 20 classes and who knows, and teacher trainings on the side and workshops on the side. But I know that it's time for me to shift away from that and really get into teaching the way that I want to teach. Yeah. Whether it's scary or not, because what's the worst that's going to happen?
Totally. 100%.
I succeed.
Yeah. And you will, of course.
Totally.
Which is something that I'm so excited about because you're officially now part of my 200-hour YT.
Ooh, yes. I'm so excited.
I know. So I can't wait. We start soon with you in this first round of having you in. It's going to be awesome. And so you also teach in like, how many different YTT programs?
3 other ones. 4 altogether I'll be teaching between now and June. They'll all be going through. But I'll have like a little break over the summer. And that's when I want to sit down and be like, okay, this is time for me to put together everything else that I want. But I love teacher training. I love it. I just love showing up because I'm in my 3rd year of my yoga therapy training. So I'm also a student. So I can relate. I mean, always a student, but I'm also in a training. So when I sit down and I look at them, I see so much of like where I've been, where I'm at. I learn more than these students every single training. It's incredible.
100%. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, it is. It's amazing. Yeah. And we're truly blessed and lucky to be able to do that. Like truly. I'm extremely grateful and I want to teach teacher trainings for the rest of my life.
Yay,
Another thing I want to bring back is a self-love series I had done before. And I want to start bringing that back like 2 times a year. Awesome. And that's really fun. And then just more yoga therapy. It's time for Phoenix to see how yoga can be a healing tool, not just like a physical workout tool, you know?
For sure. Yeah. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, and a lot of listeners are everywhere.
Right.
But
Okay, cool.
like our local community is super physical and that like sweaty vinyasa. So it's something that you and I have connected towards, is bringing this other aspect, yoga for everybody, more inclusive.
Right. And it is for everybody. Everybody.
Yep. 100%. So I love that. So, okay. I know a lot of yoga teachers, they ask me or they want to like know, how do you even get into teaching in 200-hour YTTs? So like for me, I literally like created my own program and just did that. I wasn't ever like a part of someone else's. And I know that that's how you started.
After I moved here, I wanted to earn it, like work in the yoga community a little bit, but I knew I was ready to teach teacher trainings. And I'm not really sure. I'm not kidding. It's kind of like back home, how it
fell
stacked
into
up. I think I was teaching at Urban and my name just got around. I have no clue. And the next thing I know, the girl that was leading the training called me and asked me if I would do a little bit. And then her co-lead quit. So she asked me to be her co-lead. And then she stepped down and she ended up giving me the teacher training. So it kind of just aligned. And I love it. It is, and like being in there with the students. I don't know.
No, and
it just kind of aligned for me.
For sure. And then because you started there, then other studios that have trainings were like, hey, you teach in teacher trainings. Will you be on our staff?
Totally.
Okay. Yeah. So really you just showed up. You got known. You kept teaching.
I showed up. I teach my classes every day. You know, I hardly got them sub last minute. If I needed a sub in advance, of course I would be there. I made honest and authentic connections with the students. I let them see me for who I am, you know, with a slight filter because we are teaching yoga.
For sure.
But I got to know my students and I genuinely liked them. And so they genuinely liked me back. And that's why they continued to come. And I would learn a little bit about their lives. And they trusted me because I was showing up consistently. I was being careful with their bodies and I would talk to them specifically. And I was paying attention and I really cared. And it's because I truly do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just when you can hold space for the students that way, they feel safe to continue to come back and they feel safe to show up in their authentic way also.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's literally like, sure, of course, we're teaching yoga and we're teaching these amazing tools and practices and things that people can use on their own. But part of being a yoga teacher is also about the connection, the support, the community, like seeing your people that show up and like really loving on them and creating those authentic connections is like a total game changer.
And I think I'm a little direct and I have a sense of humor and the students see that. Like I'll joke in class a little bit. So I'm fairly lighthearted, but I'm also kind of edgy. So
yeah, you're just yourself. I love it. And it's so fun when you're a student and your teacher's just funny and real and like laughs at themselves if they do something funny, you know, like that's just
totally.
It's so important. I love that. Okay. So how many yoga retreats have you led so far?
5 in Costa Rica, 2 in Mexico, 3 in Prescott, 2 in Prescott, 1 in Strawberry. And then I did a camping retreat in Illinois. So several. And I'm doing a retreat in Costa Rica this July and in January. In Costa Rica, because Costa Rica is my second home. It's the place that gave me all of my confidence, everything. It taught me my power, showed me I can be who I am. I was not able to go because of COVID this January. My trip got canceled. And I almost didn't go this year, but the universe is not allowing that to happen. People started reaching out to me left and right, asking me if I was going to put together a yoga retreat. And I've been struggling with that quite a bit because I don't want to look irresponsible putting together a group event, but
during the pandemic.
So I trust the retreat center that I go to. They take a lot of precautions and I myself have personal precautions that are not even necessary for the retreat center that I'm going to be asking people to take before we go.
This has been a really hard time. I had my Peru retreat scheduled for last July. And then it got rescheduled for this July. And then the retreat center just emailed saying that they need to cancel it. Will I come back next year?
I would just wait it out, that Costa Rica's ready and they're letting people in.
That's awesome.
So people have been reaching out to me to go. So those specific people,
they're down. That's all that matters.
Right. And all of a sudden it was just one person after the next, after the next started reaching out to me and asking me if I was going to be yoga traveling this year.
I think a lot of people
time
are
to meditate
ready.
on it. They are. And it was, a lot. And I wasn't 100% sure, but now I am.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And retreats I started because I moved here and I wanted a way to stay connected to my students back in Chicago.
Okay.
So I came here and I called my best friend, Cassie, and I said, I need your credit card and I need you to just trust me. And she's like, okay. I'm like, we're going to host a yoga retreat. And we went to Haramara in Sayulita, Mexico for the first one. We went there twice and we brought like 17 people with, and it was our first yoga retreat. And we learned a lot of what to do, what not to do, how to act, how not to act. It was an awesome learning experience. And then we did one in Costa Rica and then we did another one in Mexico. And then after that one in Mexico, I decided it was time for me to do them by myself. So then I started I did 2 in Costa Rica by myself. And that's a lot. It's a lot of energy.
Oh, it's a ton. I've only done them by myself. And I know it's so much.
And so the last 2, I brought a co-lead. Okay. And then this one in July, I'm coming full circle with Cassie. We're going to run it together.
Oh, I love that.
And then January, I'm going to go by myself and just bring an assistant.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So what would be like your number one tip for a yoga teacher that's never led a retreat but wants to?
Okay.
And they want to get started.
Understand ins and out of the retreat center. Yeah. Know every little thing, all the fine print, read it, read every fee that you're going to have to pay because you are responsible. If like certain people don't sign up, there's a ton of little hidden fees. So make sure that you are aware of all of that. Second, you're giving away a ton of your energy. It's like you're teaching a yoga class for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So make sure that you take your alone time on the retreat. The first couple retreats, I thought I had to entertain them 24/7. It was very draining. So make sure that you have little pockets where you can escape, have time for yourself, maybe stay before or after the group. You have to maintain like a professional behavior and remember that you get to enjoy yourself, but you're not a retreater, right? You're the leader of the retreat. You can like have a good time, but there's definitely boundaries and limits. Yeah. So it sounds great to go all these places, but it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of money people are handing over to you. So there's a lot of trust in that. So it's a lot. There's
it really
a lot of marketing. It's all word of mouth. Right? There's really, so.
Yeah, I agree. Like I second everything you just said. Like it is a lot. It's actually the hardest work out of everything I do.
Right.
Like teaching teacher trainings is like
you could go home at the end of the night.
Yeah, it's amazing. You recover, like it's fine. It's awesome, But a retreat, like you said, you're literally teaching, like you're on for the entire week. Yeah. And so I want to ask you this. After my first one is when I experienced what is literally called the post-event blues. And you crash. Like I emotionally crashed.
Oh my God. I get to the airport and I'm like, why is everybody talking? It's so loud.
Yeah. And I got depressed, and it's because you build this thing for however many months and all that energy and then it ends and you just gave everything you have. Yeah. And, do you experience that?
I experience a lot at the end of a retreat because I know just was talking about how challenging they are. And for a second, I just want to talk about the flip side of that. There's so much connection. There's so much beauty in these retreats. There's so many memories made, friendships being built. One of the couple people I know met and they're married on this, on my first retreat. So there's a lot of really amazing things that happen. And Costa Rica has been a magical place for me. And that's why I continuously go back. And I go back to the same place because I know the ins and outs of it. I know the lay of the land. I know all the locals around the land. I always stay a day after the retreaters leave because I have zero energy. And it is an extremely emotional day. And it's emotional for me for a lot of reasons. Like 1, it's the experience that we all just had. 2, you're deciding your energy and all the energy of everybody else that was there. And for me, 3, it's always really hard to leave Costa Rica. I cry the whole way to the airport every single time, every time. Okay, now I always want to just stay there forever.
I love Costa Rica too. I've done 3 retreats there. I
love it.
I will do more. It's my favorite place. I've led retreats also. So like, it's just a magical place.
It is.
It's just so special. Like I want to live there half the year too. I know. Incredible.
That's where I'm going to retire. Yeah. That's where I'm going to retire.
So I totally get it. Yeah.
And I'm going to cry when I arrive in Costa Rica in July. For sure.
Well, and especially after this entire experience of like not traveling and, it will be extra emotional for everyone that's there.
It will.
Because it's like people need this so bad right now. So it's going to be amazing. I'm so stoked for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to ask everyone this question.
Okay.
What are your top 3 non-negotiables for self-care to fill up your own cup so that you can go out and serve your students, your clients, and your community.
Okay, a non-negotiables, like what do I need? I absolutely have to be active. So whatever that means. For me, mostly it's getting outside. I need fresh air, whether it's taking walks or going on a hike or being in the sun. I need that to stay grounded.
Yeah.
What else? Why is this so challenging?
Yeah, I know.
I feel on this. So, and that also includes my yoga practice because I have to stay active. So we'll say I need movement of some sort.
Yep.
I need alone time. I crave being alone, and I am all Libra. So I also crave being social before 6 p.m.
Yeah. You're like 6 o'clock, I'm out. I'm done.
So I need movement. I need some alone time, and I need true authentic connections in my life, whether it be like authentic people, my friends, my family, a romantic partner. I need the support of other people around me.
Those are great. I need all those too. I agree. I second that. Perfect.
And I also need soda water. And pistachios.
That's your thing, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Bubbly
soda water and pistachios. I'm going to remember that.
That's awesome.
I love that.
And strawberries.
Yeah. Totally. So where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? What's your Instagram handle, your Facebook, and your website?
Okay, my website is Bex, Bex, Richards.com. My Instagram handle is Bex, Bex.livinglife. And my Facebook is just Bex Richards. So pretty easy. Everything's Bex.
Perfect. Bex everything. I'll put it all in the show notes too, so people can easily click on it and find it. Oh my gosh, this was amazing.
This was really fun. Why was I so nervous in the beginning?
Because it is
everybody.
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely. And no, it is scary. So
you're amazing.
Awesome. You're amazing.
So fun and comfortable. I love it.
Thanks, Bex. And yeah, I just freaking love you. I'm so grateful for you, and I adore who you are and what you're up to. So thank you so much for being here.
And right back at you. I adore you as well. And I'm very happy we're completely connected. I'm so excited to start teacher training.
Thank you so much for listening in today. I'd love to stay connected with you in between episodes. You can find me on Instagram at Taylor_Ray Yoga and join the free private Yoga Teacher Circle Facebook group, which is full of some pretty awesome and badass yoga teachers.